Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we ever have a real major crisis, I mean a crisis where things just aren't available, where food is just not available, where the government can't help you, I'm pretty much convinced after reading this article that about 60% of Americans will perish. And before we start, ladies and gentlemen, let me let you know that Nutrient Survival has given the Alaska Prepper community a 3-day sale that is very good. All right, so I will be sharing that information with you at the end of this video. And today at 2 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, we will be having our Friday live stream. Be there because Becky from Nutrient Survival is going to join us. And you know that every time she joins us, she gives stuff away. So let's see what she's got to give away today. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what the definition of insanity is? Well, I guess you can call it the Urban Dictionary definition. It's when you continue to do the same thing and expect different or even better results. Economically ignorant Americans, and ignorant is the right word to use because ignorant is not really a bad word. It can either be self-induced or it can be induced upon you through the educational system, which you all know that we have here in the United States. They want more stimmy checks to fight inflation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I would hope that those of you that have been following me for a while know why this is such an idiotic plan. To fight inflation with the exact same thing that has caused inflation. And for those of you that think that maybe there isn't that bad of inflation, I got something to show you after we briefly go through this article. The reason that I said that I think, on the title of this video that is, the reason I said I think that if we ever have a real major crisis like an SHTF, right, where everything is down, where the government can't help you, where you can't get to a store, the reason why I said that I think that about 60% of Americans will perish is because right now, they did a survey and 63% of Americans said, hey, yeah, I support getting more stimulus checks in order to fight this inflation. That is incredible. It tells me that 60+% of Americans think that government is the solution. And when something goes wrong where government cannot be there for you, if there is scarcity, if there is a SHTF, those people who have become dependent on government and think that government will be there to take care of them will find out in a quick hurry how wrong they were. That is what tells me that 60% of Americans will perish because they do not know what it is that is causing the inflation that we have now or has caused the inflation in the price of goods that we have now. Meaning that they're going to continue to go along to get along with the government's crazy laws by edict, because this would have to be a law if they passed out more stimmy checks. It would have to be passed through Congress and the Senate and then signed by the president. For those of you that think that stimulus checks are going to make inflation better, you'll find out in about another year or two after those stimulus checks go out how much it really worked. If you think inflation is bad now, you wait until they pass out those new stimulus checks that most Americans think is a good idea. Proving that most people have no idea what causes inflation, the majority of Americans in a recent poll said they want the federal government to hand out stimulus checks to combat inflation. And here I go again. Rewind to 2.5 years ago when I was screaming, these stimulus checks are going to do nothing but make inflation, but put money in the economy that doesn't belong there because it was never worked into existence. You see, for every dollar that there is in the economy, there should be an opposite thing, either a service or something that was made by someone, produced by someone that earned that money into existence. If we had inflation in that form, meaning money being added to the economy in that form where there was something else on the other side of the accounting tablet, then there wouldn't be any price inflation. Maybe there would be more money in the economy, but all of that money in the economy has a good or a service attached to it because that good or service was produced by someone laboring for it, therefore there being more money. But when there's no more goods and services being produced, and there is more inflation, i.e. the adding of money to the economy, if that is being produced at a greater pace than the goods and services, then you're going to have an inflation in the price of things. It's what we've been experiencing for the last year and a half or so as a result of the stimulus checks and all of the money printing that the government has taken upon itself to go ahead and do. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is going to happen down the road? In the poll commissioned by Newsweek, 63% of the respondents said they agreed that the feds should issue new stimulus checks to tackle inflation. That is so sad. You know, I could sit here and laugh and say, oh my goodness, these people are so stupid. But no, it is so sad that when you get a small dose of poison, that you ask for a second and larger dose that will create even more havoc upon you. That's what's happening right here. And as I've stated in the past, that government's main tool to stay in power and keep control is a fiat currency, because they can print as much of it as they want without your authority, without your vote. 42% said that they strongly agree that we should get stimulus checks, while only 18% disagreed. So 42% said they strongly agreed, and I believe it's 21% who said, I don't strongly agree, but yeah, why not? 15% said they neither agreed or disagreed. The result of this poll revealed the effects of redefining inflation. Now listen, I know that I've gone through this a lot, but this is something that has to be continuously said, continuously spoken about, so that 63% of people that are saying yes, print more money out of thin air and give it to me so that I can go and spend it in the economy, and then a year later that same group of people complain that the prices of things are too high, so that they can learn, so that you can learn that inflation is nothing but a theft of your labor and your time. Inflation is an increase in the money supply. Rising consumer prices are one of the symptoms of inflation. So when you inflate the money supply, one of the symptoms, one of the things that happen because of that is that consumer prices rise. Usually the first things that rise are asset prices, like the price of homes, cars, things like that. But then the consumer gets hit on the last leg of that rise in prices of consumer goods. And that is what we're feeling right now. But you know, the funny thing is this, is that what we're feeling right now is nothing, because what we're feeling right now, in my opinion, is the inflation that has caused the price hikes and things from when we got the stimulus checks a year and a half, 2 years ago. All of that money printing that occurred between the stimulus checks and now, that hasn't even been realized in the economy yet. And when it does realize into the economy, this little stimulus check that is going to go out if it passes, because people want it, is going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing compared to all of the inflation that we will see prior to that. But the government has effectively redefined inflation as rising prices. In effect, most people think a symptom of inflation is inflation. Oh my goodness. As a result, most people have no clue where inflation comes from. Ladies and gentlemen, teach your children. This generation here, the one that we're going through right now, is screwed. But if you teach your children now, get out an old dictionary and then compare it to what the new definition is. That way you can teach your children. This is not just about inflation. This is about changing your thought. This is about changing your reality. Because now when you go to school, you are taught this new definition as if the old one never existed. Well, why do you think that they changed the definition? It's because with the first definition, they're telling you that, yes, inflation is the increase of the money supply. Well, who's in charge of increasing the money supply? Government is. Government, Federal Reserve, you all know that I think they're one and the same. Government is. So when people correlate the word inflation to government, they have someone to blame. But when they change the definition of inflation to just rising prices, then who do the people blame? Those greedy corporatists. Those greedy corporatists that are being allowed to get away with what they get away with. From who? From government. So please teach your children, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the only way that we will be able to ensure that our children will have a good future, is by them being educated by you, not the school system. I understand that people have to send their children to school, to public school. A lot of people do. It's the way that they can afford to go out and actually make an income while their children are in school. But what are they being taught? Are you keeping up with what they're being taught? Are you asking them, what did you learn in school today? And are you correcting those things that don't fall in line with your ideology and or your morals? Right? I tell my daughter, I say, hey, if there's something that you're learning in school that you know we fundamentally don't agree with, just take the test and answer the questions they want you to answer. But then we talk about it. And we're like, hey, this is why this is wrong. My daughter is 15 years old, and I'm not sure how many 15-year-olds out there can tell you specifically what the difference is between fiat currency and real money and why inflation is bad. Imagine if every child knew that. And I'm nothing special. I just take a few minutes every now and then to reiterate to her what the right thing is over what some of the things are that she may be being taught in school. Right? Not saying that her school is bad. We're actually pretty lucky. She's in a very, very good school. And it's a public school at that. But we cased that place out before we even sent her there to make sure that it was the best school that we can possibly send her to. But no school is perfect, in my opinion, especially when it comes to a public school. So you just need to be involved with your children and understand what it is that they're being taught. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me go ahead and close this out really quick. It says here, today's people aren't even asking governments to fight inflation. They just want Uncle Sam to hand them money in order to mitigate the pain of rising prices. It's just an oxymoron, ladies and gentlemen, and people need to understand this. It's why I say that I do not blame these people that are saying, yeah, we need more money from the government, not knowing that them getting more money from the government is going to result in them asking for more money from the government again in another year or so, because it's only going to make things worse. The Federal Reserve pumped over $3 trillion into the economy after 2008 financial crisis through quantitative easing, and nobody worked for that money. We've seen that inflation already, especially in the stock market and in asset prices. Meanwhile, wages are not keeping up with the rising prices. Real average hourly earnings decreased by 3% from September of 21 to September of 22. Real hourly wages, that is what I talk about when I say that it is your labor that is being stolen from inflation. Because if you now have to work 3% more hours in order to be able to buy the same amount of stuff, then what is it that is really being stolen from you through the use or through the force, really, of inflation? It's your labor and your time. Because now if you work the same amount of hours, you only make enough to buy 97% of what you bought last year at the same time. No matter how much you're making, the nominal amount of what you're making doesn't matter. It's what can your hours buy you. And to finish it off, stimulus checks might provide a little temporary relief, but they would ultimately make inflation worse and prices would rise even higher in the future. But most Americans don't understand that. They don't understand inflation. They just know that they're struggling and they want government to make it better. The same entity that made it worse. You are paying for your health crisis stimmy checks today to the inflation tax. And inflation is a tax that people don't know about. Most people don't. If you get another stimmy check tomorrow, that will mean an even bigger inflation tax increase down the road. And that is 100% true. I pulled this up really quickly just to show you that inflation is real, for those of you that don't understand inflation, and what it's done in the last couple of years, 2.5 years. Aldi, Walmart unleash Thanksgiving price rewind as a battle for consumers begins. So Aldi and Walmart, what they're doing is, or at least Aldi for sure, I'm not going to read this article, I'll leave it on a pinned comment for you. What Aldi is doing is this year, through some kind of a reward program, they're going to backtrack prices for a turkey dinner or for the things that go into a Thanksgiving dinner all the way back to 2019. So guess how much you're going to be able to save if you use their program on the prices of today. You'll be able to save 30%. So over the last 2.5 years, the prices on these things that you're going to buy or that you can buy for a Thanksgiving dinner have gone up 30% as compared to 2019 before the stimulus checks. Remember, before the stimulus checks. Right now, you are paying for your turkey dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, 30% more because of those stimulus checks. Please understand this, and please do some research and understand what inflation really is and teach your children. All right, so now for those of you that are still here that want to hear what's going on with Nutrient Survival Sale, they gave the Alaska Prepper community a 3-day sale again, and it is a really good one. Let me show you what's going on. So ladies and gentlemen, between right now, all right, Friday and Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., if you purchase 4 items or more, it doesn't matter what price they are, it doesn't matter what they are, but if you purchase 4 items or more, you're going to receive the bread box. And Becky always has to do this, but she made this sticker here that says make nutrition great again with Nutrient Survival and Alaska Prepper. So you will receive the bread box for free, the sticker for free. You can do with it whatever you want, but you only have to buy 4 items and you get that for free. And all you have to do is punch in this code right here, BreadBoxAP, to get the free bread box, the free sticker, but you get 15% off any order. So you can actually order as many orders as you want with 4 items or more, get the 15% off, and get the free bread box and the sticker. So if you were going to order more than 4 items, you can actually split those off and get an additional bread box and sticker and use the code BreadBoxAP to get 15% off anything that you purchase at all between right now, Friday, and 11:59 p.m. this Sunday. It's good for 3 days, so if you want to stock up, use that code, 15% off. And I just want to thank Eric, and I want to thank the Nutrient Survival staff. You too, Becky, you know we love you, for giving us this 15% off, because that's pretty awesome. Having said that, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you later on today during our live stream. Other than that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.